A lot to discuss here, so I do want to bring in Dr. Asaf Romirowsky, the Executive Director of Scholars for Peace in the Middle East, to discuss all of it. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to be here with us today.
Good morning. Thank you, as always, for having me.
All right, so first off, I do want to talk to you, of course, about the situation there that we saw unfold in Iran. What do we know overall about the outcome of that retaliatory strike by Israel? Do we know just yet really the extent of any sort of damage?
That's still evolving. It's still a fluid situation. What we do know for a fact is that Israel was able to take out key Air Force military defense facilities. We know that these facilities were obviously disclosed to the United States, the CENTCOM. This was a coordinated effort. I mean, as far as how the targets were chosen. We also know that the Air Force pilots, the Israeli ones, had to be a long time in the air as far as the refueling aspect. But as far as we know, as far as today, again, it's still going to be, as daylight, as things evolve, we'll see the extent of all of that. The reaction on Iranian social media was business as usual. I mean, as we've seen in the past, as far as pattern of behavior, as we saw back in April, they do not want to give any kind of impression as if they were really devastated. Interestingly enough, while the attacks were happening and taking place, it wasn't affecting, and this was clear during the actual attack itself, no energy sources were hurt in the process. That means Iran was able to function ongoing in a way they always have. But militarily wise, I think this was it was really the strike here and the psychological aspect that plays out here. The fact that this was a devastating, really targeted surgical attack when it came to military facilities to show that they can make that happen. Obviously, there were a variety of potential solid targets, not to mention the fact Ifshan, which has to do with the facility for chemical weapons, as well as other kind of militaries, manufacturings. And so these are all part of the elements that were part of the potential targets. The extent is not known yet, and we'll see that in the coming days. And obviously, the question is going to be going forward, how all this is going to play out as a result of another potential Iranian counterattack as well. I mean, this is how this game has been playing out, unfortunately, and of course, how the Iranian proxies that we're seeing now are going to react as well.
Is there another option as far as what Iran does next, or do they have to retaliate to continue to look tough?
They don't have to. As you can see, it takes time every time that they make these decisions. And I think that the other part of the window of opportunity here, or again, the window of action, to say the least, was, of course, we are about 10 days before the elections here in the States. I think that there is, if the Harris, if there is a Harris administration, there'll be less of an appetite for more military operations, as you can see from the comments coming out of her campaign all around. So I think that the Israelis felt that the window of an opportunity now was particularly timely as far as getting this done before the elections, knowing things are going to change. That being said, to my mind, at least, again, this is from my vantage point, the nuclear facilities should be on the target list. And I hope that the Israelis did not miss an opportunity here as far as devastating the nuclear program all along. But it's unclear yet. And Iran could, to your point, use its proxies. They're still using Hezbollah, the Houthis, still using the Shiites in Iraq. This is all part of this larger hydra of capabilities that the Iranians have, and it could range from direct attacks to using proxies, as we see it, as the Iranians have been operating all along. But the bottom line is, this is Israel's war and has been for the past year with Iran. It is the Israeli-Iranian war, and let's keep that in mind, because everything that you're seeing happening on the ground in Israel is funded and it is orchestrated by the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Can you break down a little bit more for folks watching who have heard Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, and they don't necessarily realize the connection to Iran? Can you kind of break that down for folks who are watching?
Sure. So let's be clear here. So Israel has been fighting a war on 7 fronts. And what's interesting in the main, obviously, the patrons of what took place on 10/7. So you had, Hamas and Hezbollah. Unique to that aspect, of course, worthy of note is that Hamas is Sunni, Hezbollah is Shia. But of course, even though that the Sunni Shia divide is the greatest divide and the greatest cleavage in the Muslim world, the two have been able to operate together in what they consider to be a larger and a greater evil. That is the Zionist entity, according to their definition, i.e., the state of Israel, and of course, its allies, meaning the United States. The ideology is anti-American, anti-Western, and of course, anti-Semitic. Then you have the Houthis in Yemen, another Shia group that is also connected to Iran itself, as far as being supplied, being orchestrated. Early on in the war itself, we saw meetings between Hassan Nasrallah, obviously was taken out by the Israelis, and leaders of Hamas in Lebanon, planning all of this. And of course, some of the leadership also has been receiving safe harbor in Qatar, in Doha. Then, of course, you have the militia groups in Syria, in Iraq, and in Syria, who again allies of the regime, funded by all this kind of tentacles of finances and armaments and training in those areas itself. And then, of course, you have the activation. The other front of this war itself is what's been happening in the area of Judea and Samaria, i.e. the West Bank, who are also part of the traditional kind of terroristic attacks that we've been seeing coming out of Palestinian aspects, that are other groups that are not all Hamas members, but are also Hamas affiliates together within those areas as well. All of that is part of this amalgamation of these groups that have been fighting all along and been fighting Israel. Iran has been sending money to all of these groups. Iran has been sending training to all of these groups. We have now, there's documents on the beginning of the war, as far as documentation, as far as that kind of toolkits of how to do business. This is all has Iranian footprints, that has Iranian blood in all of this. And Iran is directing all of this because of the larger ideology and the hatred towards Israel and the United States, which is where we, as you and I have been discussing for the past few months, the ideology and the connectivity between the enemies of Israel and the enemies of the United States, they are one and the same. And so this is also part of the understanding of the threats at large here. Hezbollah, one of the largest and richest terrorist organizations, has more American blood on hands up until 9/11. Just recently, we on the 23rd, we celebrated, we marked 41 years of the anniversary of the attack on the Marine barracks in Beirut, where we had 241 Marines who were killed. There were also, Frenchmen and German who were also killed in an attack. Justice was served by the Israelis when they took out the top brass of Hezbollah. And so that's where all of this is coming from, and that's what Iran is doing. And this is really the straddling between the conventional and non-conventional weaponry. Iran is perceived in the region at large. Let us also be clear about that when it comes to the Sunni Arab states and to the state of Israel as the greatest destabilizing force in the region. And that is the threat at large. And that's the concern that many of the countries who've been supporting Israel in this latest war, including Arab countries, are cognizant of.
I do want to pop up this post here coming in from the Israel War Room. Again, a lot of this information developing here, but they do say that 2 soldiers were killed during Israel's overnight strikes on the IRGC military targets, and one of them is seen in that photo there, Hamzeh Jahandideh, who served in the air defense units. Again, that is the only information that was released there from the report from Iran and, of course, posted by the Israel War Room. When you do have folks who are with Iran who have been killed as a result of this strike, does that change anything about Iran's retaliatory possibilities there against Israel? Because I know a bit earlier on this week, they did say that they would not respond to Israel's attack unless there were significant damages or deaths.
Well, to my mind, I think that the Iranians, they have lives to spare and all of this, similar to all these organizations. Iranian Guard personnel, as well as commanders and leaders, have been taken out together with Hezbollah commanders in Syria, in Lebanon. This has been an ongoing tactic. There have been Iranian Guard high-level leaders. I mean, again, that speaks once again to the collaboration between Iran and the other groups, as far as the fact that having the Iranian Guard personnel directing and connecting and coordinating in the areas where the fight is taking place on the ground. I think that the facilities were symbolic by design. To show that Israel can and will strike as it did. The question is it going to deter the Iranians from continuing what they are doing, as far as continuing to move ahead as far as the nuclear program? I seriously doubt that. I think that you're going to see some kind of tempered response here. Like I said, they're watching us very carefully. They're watching how the U.S. is helping Israel, its ally. They're going to be watching, what happens on the election. They're going to watch all of this very, very closely, and based on what they perceive is going to happen, or understand who's going to be in the White House in January, they're going to measure their responses accordingly. And so that's what you're seeing playing out here. This is and has been a very serious game of chess in the Middle East. And every time you move these pieces around the board, there are going to be consequences. And that's what you're seeing play out here. Again, as we know more and as it becomes clearer what the damage has been to Iran and these facilities and the kind of facilities and what was there, then you will see a response based on the extent of the damage. And again, as I said earlier, Iran all along and throughout tonight on social media and conventional media has been trying to minimize the damage to show that they are still very strong, that Israel cannot hurt them. And so that's the imagery that they want to portray to their citizens and to their allies all around. So that's another thing to look at as far as what they're saying exactly and how they're responding.
And on that note, I did want to ask you, so for them to put out this information and say that 2 soldiers at least, we're just talking about what is known so far, were killed in the strike, is that surprising, as they are trying to essentially downplay what's happened?
I think they're trying to humanize, quote unquote, the situation, to show, here are the faces of the targets, in the same way that, that when Israel has been taking out targets, we too have generals who are fighting and they're doing defense, and, and to basically try to flip the narrative around. That is to show Iran as the victim of Israeli aggression supported by the United States. This is a part of the psychological warfare that plays into this conversation. And so I'm not surprised by that. Again, I think that, the fact that they're only showing, again, 1 or 2 pictures and not mass destruction is also quite telling about how this was done in a calculated and a very surgical way, which speaks volumes about the Israelis' capability to do this in the way they conduct and operate themselves with actionable and solid intel. And that they are doing this, and they have done this all along, in order to make sure that the point sinks in, but yet again gives them enough time and enough ability to say that they're targeting the actual military targets and not hurting the civilian population. This is another a positive element, which we've seen all along, as far as Israel able to distinguish between combatants and non-combatants, which is what they've done during the urban warfare. They are fighting and have been fighting in Lebanon and in Gaza.
All right, Dr. Asaf Romirowsky, as always, we appreciate you taking the time to be here with us. Anything else you want to add, really, about any of this? We've covered, no question, a lot of topics here, but anything you want to add before I let you go?
No, I think everything at this point is obviously is fast and movingly fast, and things are going to evolve in the next few hours, and then there'll be obviously more to discuss and unpack.
And do you think we'll get more information today, or do you think we're going to be waiting a while?
I think we are. I mean, like I said, I think at this window of an opportunity as a result of our upcoming elections, I think that there's a desire in the White House to try to close this up quickly as possible, because of the upcoming elections. And I think that the Iranians, too, are going to try to wait and see how this plays out. The Iranians are well known for their patience. And I think that time will tell, but I think we're going to see more evidence today as to the extent of the damage and more revelations about what the Israelis did during the operation. But like I said, this game of chess that's playing in the Middle East, there will be a waiting time again before the next move is made.
All right. Thank you again for taking the time to be here with us. We always appreciate it, and you're able to break down things that not everyone out there can fully understand. So we do appreciate you being here with us.
Thank you as always for having me. Always appreciate it.